Let me begin with Mr. Amitabh Ghosh. I'm sure you also were very closely tracking, sir, the launch as it happened, textbook launch, essentially. India's at ISRO's trusted launch vehicle, the Bahubali as it's called, taking off Chandrayaan-3 into space. Now comes the hard part, 40 days from now. But there's no rest, essentially, for our ISRO heroes, is there?
So I think the launch was perfect, as was widely expected to be perfect. I think now comes the cruise stage, which is going to be slightly long. And so after this, I guess it is turned to land on the moon on around 23rd, 24th of August. And then once that is successful, you spend 14 days on the moon exploring the moon, and that's the primary mission.
That's right. 14 Earth days, 1 lunar day is the mission at hand once the soft landing is complete. But this particular takeoff, yes, this was something that every expert that I've spoken to from early this morning said that, look, we have fair sense of confidence that this is going to be perfectly as rehearsed by ISRO, and that's what happened. 16 minutes, Mr. Ramesh Chandra Kapoor, that you had the takeoff procedure being completed. It's been now thrown into the Earth's orbit. What happens for the next few weeks? What happens for the next 40 days?
Yes, it's quite a long journey because we did not build still bigger rocket yet, and still, although at the moment GSLV Mark III or LVM-3 is the most powerful rocket of ISRO, and with this kind of heavy load we have put, and that is now heading towards. Actually, it's going to be in an orbit around the Earth, in an elliptical orbit. So after some time, it has to proceed to the moon. There will be 5 maneuvers of its orbit where its orbits will be raised, and in the 6th burn, it will be put on the lunar transfer trajectory. And that is going to happen perhaps on 31st July. And then the propulsion module attached to lander and rover is going to proceed in its way towards the moon, and hopefully around 5 August they get into the orbit around the moon. And that orbit will be slowly reduced in burns, and eventually this entire spacecraft is going to be put in orbit of 100 by 100 kilometers. And after that, then the day comes when lander and rover have to be detached. So that will be on 23rd August, and as I read in the paper, it's going to be evening in India, and therefore at that time we'll all see once again, and of course the heartbeats will be very high, but yes, we very much hope that the landing is going to be smoother this time, and because ISRO has worked for the last 2 years or even more on strengthening the lander.
Yeah, 4 years, 4 years of work has gone into Chandrayaan-3 right now. And you pointed out when the landing, the descent in the moon happens, that's going to be as per ISRO's estimate as of now. Of course, that is prone to also and subject to some change. August 23rd at about 5:47 in the evening is when ISRO estimates the descent into the moon will actually happen. There are inevitably, Mr. Amitabh Ghosh, going to be comparisons between what's happened today and Chandrayaan-2, between the takeoff of Chandrayaan-3 and Chandrayaan-2. Pretty textbook if you see what really played out 4 years ago and now. It's pretty much the same takeoff. What got a little difficult was 40 days from now, when Chandrayaan-2 inched closer to the moon. 13 minutes into descent is when we realized something had gone wrong. So that's where, of course, the real challenge will be. But if you compare the two missions, they're also quite different in the build itself of the vehicle. Mr. Amitabh Ghosh, could you unmute yourself, please?
Right. So there has been some design changes, as the ISRO chairman has said. So there has been some changes because of what they learned, and this is very normal. If there is not an optimal outcome, then you go back to the drawing board and you make some changes. So it's wishing all the best. It's very hard to predict how the outcome will be, but given that ISRO has really worked on this problem, one can hope that this this will be a successful outcome.
You know, our scientists and ISRO scientists, Mr. Somnath, whenever he's spoken about the Chandrayaan-3 mission, has spoken about what happened to Chandrayaan-2 and has said that, look, there are several changes, whether it's the software, whether it's the technical issues, whether it's the build itself, that we've changed based on lessons that we've learned from Chandrayaan-2. And I think nobody quite understands, Mr. Ramesh Chandra Kapoor, how hard it's been for ISRO to build everything from scratch, to learn lessons from what happened to Chandrayaan-2, and all of this to be accomplished in a matter of 4 years.
See, on 7th September, early morning, 2019, when at the last moment, just 2.1 kilometers above the surface of the moon, this link with the lander, which are descending onto the surface of the moon, that got snapped. After that, we didn't know what has happened. Later on, it has turned out that there was some problem with the motor and the velocity reduction. Because, you see, the escape velocity, as you would have already known about, that in the case of Earth, it's 11.2 kilometers per second. So you think at that speed, it will leave the Earth forever. On the moon, it is close to about 2 kilometers per second. But when lander and rover have to land on the surface of the moon, the speed has to be brought down substantially, and it has to be about 2 meters per second. To get an idea of this 2 meters per second, let me say that suppose you jump to the ground from a stool, say about 8 inches high. On the moon, it will be like jumping from 4 feet high. That third you yourself experience, and then you will know that's what is going to happen to lander when it is going to land this time.
And just try to, just try to picture that in our heads, and you understand what a challenge it is for ISRO, what they're achieving here, and the amazing, really, work that they've put into Chandrayaan-3. I'll highlight again, only 3 countries have been successful: US, the then Soviet Union, and China. These 3 countries have managed to ensure soft landing on the moon. 40 days from now, we will be joining that extraordinary space league. I'm slipping into a very short break here on India Today. And I know everyone was watching it live, but if you missed out on the dramatic moment when Chandrayaan-3 took to the skies, we've got you covered here on India Today. Watch that dramatic 10-second sequence here.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus 5 seconds.
Lift-off normal.
Here we have a majestic lift-off of LVM-3 M4 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft.
P2 tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का। यह भीम का रॉकेट आसमान को चीरते हुए अपनी भयानक दहाड़ से चारों ओर कंपन उत्पन्न कर रहा है।